Yo guys, what is up? Moxsy in our first Descendant video, and today we are going over my guide to the Malevolent. Now, this is the Battle Pass weapon for this season, and when I first started using it, I was kind of confused because it's got some weird stats and some weird scaling, and I honestly wasn't in love with it. However, once you put it in the hands of Serena, who is arguably the strongest gun descendant in the entire game right now, this thing becomes an absolute machine. And in this video, I want to break down both the build for the Malevolent and the things that we're using on it, but also how to utilize it on Serena and the build that I'm using currently to do Void Erosion 30 solo. It is such a cool weapon. It's so fun, and I haven't really seen many people talking about this thing, so I hope you guys enjoy the guide. Let's get right into it. One thing to mention is I still need to really mess around with the Ancient Knight, the ATAMs, and the Deadly Arson on Serena. I've slowly been working my way up to getting these things built, but I do have the Malevolent fully built, and it is a monster. Now, to start, this weapon has a few interesting things going on for it. The first is its unique ability called Malicious Pain. This reads, on hitting an enemy, you create a bladed cog. Bladed cogs bounce between multiple enemies to deal damage. On hitting weak points, create additional bladed cogs. So you get 3 when you hit. You get 4 if you hit a weak point, which is really nice. And then you get 5 bounces. And each of these blades at your max rank are going to get 24% of your firearm damage. Now, this is definitely a weapon that you want to 4 out of 4 as you get more max bounces and more damage as you level this thing up. And this thing really shines when it comes to AoE because you can fire it really quickly and get tons of discs bouncing between enemies. And for something like Void Erosion, you can just shoot at the elites, and the damage from all of the blades going everywhere will kill everything else. So you can basically just fire at one enemy. By the time you're done firing at that one enemy, everything else in the room is dead. Now, it's also important to note the inversion reinforcement for this weapon this season is the evolutionary cutting mechanism. This just gives you +3 bladed cogs when you're firing this thing this season, which, as long as you're not hitting weak point, is technically double its damage. So you need to have this on if you're going to use this weapon. It is absolutely crazy, and it's going to contribute to its clear speed. Now, I'm going to be honest, I think this weapon is fine even on not Serena, but Serena is so powerful right now that it really shines with her, and that is in big part due to her 4th ability. If you did not know, this is giving your weapons AoE damage on all of their hits, and all of that AoE damage is going to get an additional multiplier based off of your HP. So this weapon that already does a ton of AoE damage is now constantly on all of its discs, because the discs proc the AoE damage as well, is just chain AoEing damage and getting a massive multiplier based off of your HP. For Void Erosion, I was currently rocking this build. The interesting thing with the Malevolence on Serena is her airborne buff only gives us critical hit MP recovery and drop-off distance, which we just don't care about. You cannot build the Malevolent for crit, really, because it has a 1% base. Technically, you could do so unlike a Valby or a character that gives you flat crit, but for the most part, crit's not great for it, so we don't really need to be airborne. We do lose out on some air attack increase from not being airborne, but it's just not a weapon that you really need to be hovering on Serena with, and so we can take off some of the mods that we were using originally on her, such as all of the things that give us skill cost reduction, and then just focus on building up as much HP as possible. So now our solo build for this currently looks very similar to our bossing build. We're gonna grab some extra quality of life things such as skill extension so that our 4th can stay active more often, and then we can throw in overwhelming HP and increased shield to get even more HP, which is gonna further scale our 4th ability. Note that with this, you do have 100% uptime on your 4th ability. However, in order to guarantee yourself the multi-talented procs, you are going to make sure that you're going to use your dash ability first before proccing your 4, which works out because your dash will bring you up into the air from the ground. So anytime you need to use your 4, you dash and then 4, and that'll keep it up at 100% uptime. For our arcade tuning, currently we are spec'd like this to go pick up more HP, and even more HP. We get a ton of HP scaling. I did test Enhanced Max Shield, and I do think we picked this up eventually, but I'm currently not rank 40. This on testing nets us out 2% more damage on our fort, which, you know, when we're doing like millions of damage is still a fair bit. But I don't think it takes priority currently for us over the advantage affinity damage modifier. So I went and grabbed this, and then I think we're going to see if we can grab this and possibly the enhanced firearm attack for the build, but I do need to finish leveling her. For the Malevolent build, just one thing that I want you to understand is this thing has 1% firearm crit rate. So like if we were to put crit rate on it, let's say we toss that in, we go from 1 to 1.35. It's only a 35% increase of 1. So crit is terrible on this. The crit damage is bad. Its weak point damage is solid, but the blades don't hit weak points. Basically, you know, the only thing that's going to be really benefiting from weak point is your generated blades and your initial shot, and your damage doesn't scale off the initial shot. So like weak point isn't great on it either. Its multi-hit damage is 0.2, so it's not great for multi-hit either. And so like I was like, wow, this seems like a cool weapon. How the heck do you build it? And so basically we've gone full elemental on this. We're using a ton of quality of life and a ton of elemental damage. And the one thing to note is the Malevolent would be best built technically for toxic damage. This has a ginormous amount of flat toxic damage, and I think when we have content that you really need toxic damage for that's mobbing related, this thing is going to shine. However, currently, Void Erosion, really, you only really care about chill damage. It gets the biggest multiplier, and we've built it for chill for Void Erosion Purge. This is not a single target weapon. You wouldn't be using this on like Tormentors, so like the toxic there doesn't really matter. If you want to build this thing for toxic, you totally can. I'm sure toxic damage will be relevant in a mobbing scenario, hopefully soon. But even in like Sigma, enemies are like slightly resistant to like toxic damage. So basically we built it for Void Erosion. So we've got rifle reinforcement here for more firearm damage, fire rate up for more fire rate, chill enhancement to add the chill. You could change all the like chill things for toxic if you wanted to build it that way. Charge amplification is kind of a must just because we don't care about any sort of crit thing. 67% firearm attack is massive with action and reaction for more firearm attack. And then we're going to be going into like 3 additional chill mods just because really there's like not much else to do. Chill priority gives us the chill attack. Chill circulation, while it is on a cooldown, is just more damage for us. And then we've got Snowflake Conductor for whenever we're hitting frostbitten enemies, we're going to get more firearm attack. This thing does have decent status effect trigger rate, so when we're firing this thing, we are going to be hitting enemies that are chilled most of the time, especially with all the blades going around. And then just for like extra quality of life, we're using weapon tuning and expand weapon charge. If you wanted to use this thing on like Glay, for example, you definitely wouldn't need the mag size. But with Serena, especially with fire rate cores, you delete the mag on this thing so quickly that having some extra magazine stuff is very nice. I do want to point out that if you are, you know, maybe don't want to use like chill circulation or weapon tuning, I do think just like a nice mod to have on it in general, maybe not for Void Erosion 30, is something that can convert ammo. This thing does absolutely melt through ammo very quickly. And so if you are using it on Serena, I do recommend using your 1 on her ever so often because the 1 gives you round recovery so you can get ammo back. But it is very, very easy to run out of ammo on this thing. So like you could throw in general rounds to get some extra ammo. Don't think you really need it for 30s because enemies drop a ton of ammo in there and you can use her 1 to get more. But that is kind of just like a quick mention. Guys, that's going to do it for the video. I hope you enjoyed. I will catch y'all in the next one. Take care. Peace.